Welcome to Base Boys Media, where the most based views come to life. We have an objective to create content to bring people back to God, share the truth and news, educate people about politics, and we're ready to win the culture war. My name is Zane, and this is my...
And I'm Micah. And so, Zane, I was just watching that video of Biden falling off the stage. First we see him fall off a bike, then we see him fall up a flight of stairs, and now we see him face plant. Quite literally face plant on stage while speaking to the Air Force. I don't know how much worse we can get. We look horrible.
Elder abuse, man. We are living in total clown world.
It is.
These people that are trying to put this man in office are truly evil, man. It's really ridiculous that we're in this position.
It is a bit of elder abuse because a lot of the problem is just you're watching a guy who's clearly a puppet, who's clearly being led around, just being told what to do, and he can't even function. He doesn't know where he is. He's looking at the teleprompter, more than likely got a little person in the ear going now walk on the stage. Excellent.
Walk left. Exit left.
Exit left. Exactly. He's
pause, read the script.
Exactly. And you see his script in his hand. You've seen the pictures, right? You've seen
the pictures
the
of
pic
his script
on whatever reporter and ask her this. The whole thing's scripted. He doesn't have the ability to function. Who is actually controlling our government right now? Because it's clearly not him.
Deep state.
The deep state. The enemy of the people. We gotta drain the swamp.
Most likely, World Economic Forum, UN agendas, China, CCP, this whole Marxist communism movement. It's great. So.
Yeah, we have more blackmail in the news about
blackmail.
Blackmail in the news. But this, I'm using it as a little differently this time.
Okay. I'm confused. Is it pun intended or no pun intended?
No pun intended. This is about Hunter Biden. So we got the blackmail. So you've seen the new 10,000 photos drop. You know that China, that Russia, that what is another good country? That India, that Ukraine are all using his blackmail to get America to do whatever they want. They say, oh, he's working for Burisma. He's working for all these different companies in abroad and collecting fat paychecks. We're a laughing stock right now. We
truly are, man. We truly are. So first thing I want to share real quick is everyone knows that the 10,000 photos of Biden laptop media has been put out by Marco Polo, an organization, and we can't even access it. So apparently, according to Marco Polo, there's an organic overflow of people crashing the server. Now, what I was wondering before they came out and said that was, is it like maybe some sort of psyop to crash the server so that
no one can look? Yeah.
So no one can look. So I according to them, it's organic, and then it's not working. I was able to access it on my phone, but I don't really want to see the photos. But it's great that this is publicly being released.
I like seeing Hunter Biden live his best life,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. I'm gonna go as Hunter Biden for Halloween.
Ooh,
I'm gonna get the white or get the red scarf.
The whitey tighties.
Whitey-whities. Cigarette, the glasses. Maybe a meth pipe.
I would go with a meth pipe.
Yeah, why not? You got to go full retard. So.
Exactly. So, Zane, what is our first story of the day?
Oh, well, I kind of want to continue to talk about Hunter Biden, man.
Okay, let's go for it.
No, so I want to point out, imagine if anything like this would have been released. You know how the media sits there and attacks Don Jr., Eric Trump. Where's the attack on Biden? Do you just support Biden and all this corruption?
We've seen it with Twittergate, when Twitter buried the story about Hunter Biden and Hunter Biden's laptop. They run interference with him. They run interference with Joe Biden and him falling off the stage, basically, at the Air Force Academy. They run interference by saying, oh, it was just a sandbag. He tripped over a sandbag. Remember when Donald Trump had a slight slip when he was on the metal platform going down in dress shoes with no hand railing? People, they were saying he's
attack and not defend.
Exactly. They will defend Joe Biden all day long, and the way they defend him is by hiding it. They won't show it, and so the American people won't see the fact that their president is actually just a puppet who has strings on him, who's being pulled around, being told what to do, and is making America look foolish to the rest of the world. America is looking very foolish when our president, who's supposed to be showing strength, who's supposed to be showing the power, the greatness of America, because he's the commander of the military, is falling on stage in front of all of his men and women and all of the armed forces.
They should put a clown horn in the White House.
A clown horn?
Yeah. Yeah, seriously. It's a total clown show that we're living in. So, first story we want to go to is the blackmail that you were talking about.
I get the connection now.
Yeah. So we're going to go here to this story with Jamie Foxx. Health shocker, Jamie Foxx left paralyzed and blind from blood clot in his brain after receiving the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, if you guys aren't aware, he actually apparently was refusing the vaccine and didn't want the vaccine, but he was forced to by a particular movie set that he was working on. He is said to be partially paralyzed and blind, in addition to a series of other complications in receiving the COVID-19 vaccine, according to Hollywood journalists. What a job that might be. Jamie had a blood clot in his brain after he got the shot. He did not want the shot, but the movie he was on, he was pressured to get it, confessed the podcaster who formerly worked as a columnist in the New York Daily News. During the appearance on Dr. Drew Pinsky's online show, Ask Dr. Drew, the blood clot in the brain caused him at some point to be paralyzed and blind. Now, apparently someone was in the room with this knowledge. Now, what do you think about this, Micah? I honestly, with the whole Damar Hamlin thing, they said he was paralyzed too, and there was like some false news about it. It might be a hot take, but there's fake news on both sides. Like, we kind of get caught up and think that only the left and liberals put out fake news. I mean, this is from a left source, but sometimes we on the right do take bait with certain things, and people did take the bait with Damar Hamlin because they said he was like paralyzed and he wasn't going to be able to walk again. So do you buy it on this? What do you think?
Okay. I'm very hesitant to say this is 100% true. First off, this is Microsoft News. And so Microsoft...
Very reliable source.
It's a very reliable source, but at the same time, they are saying, we've heard from a source. It's not them saying, it's them reporting on a source. So Microsoft has deniability that they are putting this out because they're saying, hey, we're just hearing what someone else is saying. We're just printing what they're posting. And so I'm very hesitant to believe this because I do think it might be almost a psyop to make vaccine people look bad. Because let's say Jamie Foxx comes out in 2 weeks when this becomes a big news story, when everyone reshares, retweets, posts, and says, hey, wow, look at this vaccine thing. He comes out in a week and says, hey, you vaccine deniers, you science hating people, all you uneducated people, vaccine is actually great. You guys are just blowing this fake news out of proportion. And so that's one of the reasons why I'm generally hesitant when the mainstream media pushes something about vaccinations, because you know that Pfizer, Moderna, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, they're paying Microsoft a lot of money in advertising. Do you think that they would let them run a news story which looks bad on them? And in the future, I know there's a lot of protections from the government for vaccine companies, but what if they could break that barrier by saying, hey, they knowingly produced something that was absolutely causing blood clots, cancer, all these different things that are adverse, and they knowingly put that into the market? Then they could break the suing barrier. So that's why I'm very hesitant, because the amount of advertising money from Big Pharma to Microsoft has to be in the billions.
100%. And, I honestly hope it's not true. I really would hope that Jamie Foxx is in good health and condition, and like this isn't a true story. But I mean, if it is true, I can see some of the light being I can see some of this story being good, because I mean, maybe people will wake up to see that the pharmaceuticals that were given by these people aren't good.
Yeah.
And they can see maybe just one little thing can open someone's mind to maybe look into the vaccine things, because as we know, people are surface level and they just hear the news, go get the vaccine, we'll give you donuts and all this stuff, get the vaccine, and
My employment
This
was offering me
happens.
$100 if I got it. $100? And all I have to do is...
Did you take it?
No, I didn't take it.
Oh man, I would have done it for $20.
$20. $20
I'm
is
just
$20. You'd do a lot of things for
Yeah.
$20, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you know, it is Pride Month, so
There we go. That's a good transition right there.
you want to celebrate butt stuff for the month?
Oh, yeah.
Oh.
I already have been celebrating butt stuff.
Wow. Well, there's a whole crowd out there that does that, so we can save that for another day. So, well, moving right along. Hopefully, Jamie Foxx is all right, and he is not
Yeah.
blind and paralyzed.
I hope
I don't
so.
want to follow the bait. But moving right along to Mr. Meatball Ron, we want to share this video about Mr. Meatball.
Questions from voters, Governor. Governor, how come you're not taking questions from voters?
Stop coming up to me, talk to me. What are you talking about? I'm not here murdering with people. Are you blind? Are you blind?
I'm not blind.
Okay, so people are coming up to me, talking to me, whatever they want to talk to me about.
Why not take any questions from voters, Governor?
Micah, are you blind?
Are you blind?
Are you blind?
Are you blind?
Oh my
He's
gosh.
got like kind of the most boring voice.
He does. He
is-
sounds monotone.
Are you blind? It's just the way that I would try to imitate his voice is just by not doing anything. Are you blind?
Are you blind?
He's not. It doesn't have any ring to it. He needs a. I don't know, he needs a voice style.
Do you want a thin-skinned president that can't even answer questions? Like that reminds me of the one guy that interviewed Joe Biden a few years ago about he went to like some factory and dude was wearing a hard hat and he's like, "Are you gonna take away my AR-15s?" And he's like, "You don't need 100 rounds." Like, and he
Listen
he
here,
just,
you dog face.
and he's
pony
sitting there
soldier.
getting in an argument with a civilian, somebody just a blue collar worker, and he can't even hold a conversation without like creating argument, getting heated, and like I don't know. You don't see this from Trump. Trump knows how to handle media and opposition, and he's really good at putting it back on you. And like, even if I guarantee you, even if someone did ask Donald Trump that opposed Donald Trump, he wouldn't be this thin-skinned.
Yeah, he'd probably say something really funny in return, like "I'm with the people right now."
Mm-hmm.
Well, even the way he would say it, I think Donald Trump could pull it off, saying, "Are you blind?" What? Are you blind, you bozo? Like, I don't know. He could just do it better than because it just shows that Ron DeSantis wasn't ready for. He's not ready for this. He's letting people get to him. You can clearly see he's a little bit flustered. He's speaking down to someone, and you're like, that's not what the president should be doing. The president is above all of that.
Yeah, you're totally right, man. So one of the reasons I don't like the man at the moment is because his support for medical bureaucrats. So we go here. We shared the story earlier today. So Ron DeSantis praises Anthony Fauci for COVID response, saying he did a really good job.
Yeah, so one of his things that he goes after Trump all the time, saying, "Hey, I'm the first one that opened everything up, and I didn't listen to anyone." But you can clearly see in this video, he starts thanking all of Dr. Birx, Fauci, all the different people. He basically followed all of their instructions, and now he's trying to criticize other people for not for following their instructions.
Yeah, well, so he did have a church, or there were several churches that he shut down, and like it wasn't all perfect in Florida. Like there were still things that were shut down. So like he takes a lot of credit for having the greatest state for being open, but there was still things being banned and shut down. So
Yeah.
I don't necessarily agree with him.
I think North Dakota never actually shut down. And there's a couple states who are even better, but they don't get all the press coverage because you don't have some great politician with a winning smile in front of the camera. That's one of the reasons why I don't really buy it, because he did shut a whole bunch of stuff down. I remember in the beaches all being closed and them arresting people on spring break, and I'm not buying the whole hey, I'm the man of the people.
Yeah, man of the people.
Woke is Marxism.
Oops.
Evolved to...
All right. So what do you know about Marxism, Micah?
I know it's not good.
What is Marxism in your eyes?
In my eyes, okay, I think it's a ideology that is okay, it's an ideology that is used in order to bring about radical change of the culture as well as the government. And so when Marx says, I don't know, seize the means of production and take over the institutions. It is a cry to change everything down to the most fundamental level. It's come in many different shapes, come in many different sizes. Like Chinese Marxism looks different than Russian Marxism, which looks different than Pol Pot's, or even the stuff that's being influenced and pushed onto us today. It all looks different, but it all has the root of Marxism because it uses the same tactics.
Woke is Marxism.
Woke is Marxism.
We're going to share a great video for James Lindsay, and we will give you our commentary. Mr. Lindsay.
To attack the West. If you don't understand that, you will not act correctly. You will not cure it, and it will conquer your countries. It will conquer all of Europe, and we will have a very, very long, sustainable, and inclusive future with absolutely no freedom. Because the goal is to make us into what they call global citizens. Have you heard this term? This term is nonsense. There's no global sovereign, so there is no global citizenship. There's no relationship because there's no ruler, and we don't want a ruler of the globe. It's a nonsense term. But they tell you, if you actually read their literature, what is a global citizen?
There's only one
It's
king.
somebody, I kid you not, I make no joke. They say this themselves. It's somebody who
Jesus.
supports the 17 Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations Agenda 2030. That's a global
Jesus
citizen.
has sustainable
And
goals.
they say, what are the rights of a global citizen? This is in a book about global citizenship education published 2 years ago. What are the rights of a global citizen? And the answer, one paragraph later, is we're not that interested in rights with global citizenship. It's more about global responsibilities.
I guess we don't
In
need
other words,
rights.
Oh,
slavery.
hold on. We're not interested in rights. Yet they push this human rights agenda and like equality and equity, but they don't believe in rights. Interesting.
This is a pivotal moment in the history of the Western world. The model that they are pushing us toward, using the means and mechanisms of that place, is the model we see in China. If you want to know what your future looks like if we don't stop the woke, look at China. Look at the social credit system. Look at the oppression.
Now, Micah, question for you. You lived in China.
That I did.
What do you know about the social credit system? Share.
Okay, so I never had to participate because I wasn't a citizen, but I did see a lot of people having to deal with it. It's interesting because when I first heard about it, I thought it was like a credit score where you look on your phone like, nice, I got a 750. Shoot, I'm at a 600. But instead, it's more of what do you have access to? So, for example, I knew a couple people who couldn't take the airplanes because their credit score was too low. They weren't a contributing member of society. So instead, they had to take the trains. And then also at the same time, I knew a couple people who they couldn't take the high-speed rail. Instead, they had to take the slow train.
So what things lower their credit score?
Not being a... Okay, so there's different ways to raise it. I'm not sure how you could really lower it besides the obvious, which is speaking out against the government, not being a contributing member of society, not paying your taxes.
I'd be a really low score then.
I don't know, exactly. You'd be at like a 0, maybe even negative.
Yeah, I mean, well, I'd be a 0 because I'm MAGA already. So just because I support Trump and I'm white.
That's true. You're white?
Yeah.
Yeah, and so being... This is one of the things that they push very heavily there is being Han Chinese is very, very important to them. Mm-hmm. So, for example, there's a whole bunch of different smaller minority groups. I think there's like 52 different minority groups within China, like the Maozu, the Uyghur, the Baizu. There's a whole bunch of different people that exist there that aren't actually Han Chinese. Mm-hmm. All of them have lower credit scores because of their ethnicity. And so a lot of people, like I knew a couple of Maozu and Baizu Ren, who, like I said, they couldn't take airplanes. All they could do was take trains. And then even in that, there's a distinction between high-speed trains and low-speed trains. And so, like I said, it's not necessarily like a credit score type thing. It's just, hey, I'm trying to buy a ticket right now, and I can't buy a ticket for an airplane. Oh, shoot. Okay, let me try to buy a high-speed rail train. Okay, cool, I got one of those. But then you try again, you're like, wait a second, I wasn't able to get the high-speed rail train. And so that's one of the issues is there's a lot of different people groups, especially like with Christians and with Muslims, that they aren't able to use a lot of the infrastructure that China has because they are the wrong ethnicity or the wrong belief system. So we hear a lot about the Muslims, but this is the same thing going on with the Christians in China as well.
Got it. That makes total sense. You know, I think if we don't stop wokeism, like, I think that's what ushers in a lot of this global control, because literally it's just a control front. Like we talked about yesterday, how like the entire, you know, basically James Lindsay is summarizing what we talked about yesterday, is how this is just a huge control agenda. And if you keep continuing to push these woke ideologies, it's just easier to control people.
Yeah.
Because you take away masculinity, you take away the family, people literally rely on the government, and then you can literally usher in whatever agenda and policy that you want. You know, that's why we need to bring back masculinity. Toxic masculinity, actually.
Exactly. Toxic masculinity is good. Here's the thing is, when people say toxic masculinity, I reject that notion altogether, because if they can get me to accept the framing of some masculinity is toxic, then they can accept. Then I have to accept the whole premise.
Then all masculinity is toxic, and they make it that way.
Yes, because then it's just a spectrum. And my whole point is masculinity is a state of being. Yes, a person can be toxic, and a person can be not toxic. It's this idea, but masculinity itself is. It isn't a toxic thing. It isn't a positive. It isn't a negative. It just is. It's a concept.
Yes, exactly. And bringing back the family structure, you know, you can see birth rates are on decline, divorce rates are on a incline, and like the family, I think, should be the strongest nuclear piece over the government. And you just continue to see people just kind of subduing themselves to the government because they're in need. So they're just like, oh, this government can push me sustainable development goals and create a utopia for me to where my life is going to be just so amazing. But
yeah,
really, you are the creator of a lot of your success with the people that you know from family. That's why family's so important. And you know, Marxism and these hierarchies of government are not going to create the quality of life that you need, because you just get the options removed because the government takes care of everything for you. Like,
the free market solves most every single problem that we have, and so when you take away the free market, what you're left with is government control. And that's what collapsed the Soviet Union, is because they didn't have 50 different types of soaps. They had the government soap, and then they didn't have 50 different type of cars. They had the government issued car, and then they couldn't compete in price because there's no competition. Yeah. The free market enabled people to have competition, have an excess amount of things, because people are competing to find the best value and make things work in a free market economy.
Exactly. You know, competition creates innovation. Like take for example, the founder of Netflix in the early 2000s. He's like, oh, I'm going to put DVDs in a box and people are going to go to them. And then like, you had Blockbuster at the time. Everyone was selling movies and Blockbuster. And then this guy came out with DVDs and just made it more convenient, and then eventually put it on a streaming platform. And literally, imagine if the government owned Blockbuster.
Oh, yeah. We'd still be in VHSs.
I can't remember the guy's name that does Netflix, the guy that started it. But, yeah, you wouldn't be able to create that competition. I mean, do you think the government would innovate? Like, create the competition.
Your social credit score just went down for saying you're going to compete with the government.
It's okay. It's okay. My social credit score is screw you guys. That's what I say. So, all right. Go back to this quick video here of James Lindsay. We'll wrap it up here.
Look at people disappearing for having the wrong opinions. One of their greatest billionaires, Jack Ma, said the wrong thing about the government and disappeared. A billionaire. If you want to know what the future of Europe and America and the Five Eyes or whatever the countries, it's China. That's the model. So we have to fight back against woke, but to fight back against woke, we have to understand it, and I will close by restating my thesis. Woke is Marxism evolved to take on the West.
Woke is Marxism evolved to take on the West.
That's kind of what I was saying earlier. Yeah, I agree with that, because it's a new form of communism. It's the new form. It's the new shape it took on. So before they wanted, we want everyone to be equal. Now, like in Russia, because when it invaded, because they had the difference between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat masses, and so they did have a problem with wealth disparity. Now we have different issues, and so it's a way for us to divide people groups. It's a way for us to distinguish between the bourgeoisie and the proletariat masses. It's just another way to break people down, because our society doesn't have a bourgeoisie. Well, we do, but in a different form. It's not like I'm looking and I'm seeing a king walk down the street going like, but we have different problems now, and so they're just attacking us in a different way.
So, Micah, are you happy? Number 5 on the Sustainable Development Goals.
Gender equality.
Micah, you're gonna get gender equality if you go for this world government that they're going for. You want to be a global citizen of the UN and have your badge and get your chip?
Oh, yeah. And then eat the bugs.
Eat the bugs.
Eat the bugs. That's what they're going to solve with the number 2, zero hunger.
And this is great because they package it as utopia and this just, oh, we're going to take care of you and we're going to provide all this great stuff through this globally funded organization that does not share the same values as you, that doesn't believe in God, that doesn't believe in most of traditional values that humanity have been involved in. I mean, you can read all about it. We're not going to go into it like super in depth, but if you read the Reddit from the UN, the World Economic Forum, they truly are just, I think, anti-human in the end. They package it as a great stuff.
Yeah, but they're going to give us affordable and clean energy. Affordable and clean energy.
I'll buy it.
We just gotta pump some gas and. Okay, here's my problem when people always talk about the green agenda and all these different people like this, is, of course you always hear, oh, the 1%, they are all on their airplanes, they all fly to Davos, they all fly to their retreats where they all talk about climate change. The biggest people in climate change are all just using this as a scam. You know, yeah, that is true. But the way I see it is, it's just a way to control people. It is a way to give me carbon taxes. I was hearing a couple people a couple days ago talk about how they're trying to do some other things for their business, changing some aspects of it so they can get carbon credits so that their taxes go lower. And I was like, whoa, I thought this was something that was just a figment of people's, I don't know, in the future. And they're like, no, we all get carbon credits. And so it helps us on our taxes. And so if we change the windows and we change our farm equipment, then we get these credits. And I was like, I didn't even know that existed.
Yeah, no, subsidies are already there for like solar. Like you can get subsidies for putting solar stuff on your roof, and the money government gives you back all that money, but it's not sustainable.
Yeah.
Like electric cars. Like they're just not sustainable yet. They're literally they're literally made by fossil fuels.
Yeah.
And natural gas. Like we're not to the point yet where we can just push, and then you have all these green environmentalists telling us, oh, we need to go green and all electric.
Yeah, it is.
That's why I want to buy a V10 naturally aspirated engine with no muffler and just fucking grind on it. Just
so I can coal roll them.
Yeah, start coal rolling people. We're the carbon they're trying to get rid of, guys. It's not the carbon coming from your car or the farts coming from the cows. So, but moving right along, guys, I want to go ahead and share this amazing image of why you should not be proud. Being pride is nothing to be proud about. You can hate us about our views, but these are facts. It's not very sanitary to be proud, Micah.
I'm seeing some stuff here that makes me shake my head. So 58% of homosexuals have problems with intestinal worms.
Ooh.
Whoa, a little TMI if you ask me.
33% of homosexuals have problems with alcoholism.
Oh, really? Wow.
Okay, I mean that can go for, just straight white men.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a lot of people. But the intestinal worms, that's pretty
intestinal
hard to beat.
worms. I know. I'm like, maybe I should get tested.
Yeah.
Actually, I don't.
78% of homosexuals have STDs. We work with one that has I believe STDs.
Ew.
What?
Ew.
Yeah, it's me. I'm just kidding. But I'm just saying, I respect all people. I love everyone, and I respect you. And ultimately, we are just trying to convert many people to Jesus and understand that homosexuality is a indoctrination of man. It is a passion of man that is being pushed, and you are being sold unhuman, unnatural things. And that is just truly my base belief. It's not sanitary. It's not normal. You can't procreate. Even if you don't believe in Christianity, you have to believe there's something that created us.
Yeah.
And do you really think that what created us wanted us to have sexual acts that are not conducive with, growing the population.
Yeah.
Like, you can't even have kids.
I think the way that they can justify it is by saying, if nothing exists above me, then nothing matters. Ergo, my sexuality can be whatever I want it to be. And so, for example, Zane, did you know that 1 in 15 homosexuals is a pedophile?
Really?
Yeah, so like that's my whole point right there, is if there's nothing above me watching over me, and if there's no creator, then all this is okay. Because what is morality at that point? There is no morality if there is no one above me, if there is no creator.
Well, their moral code is do whatever you want. It's
Do
literally
as thou
just
wilt.
live however you feel, you know.
Yeah.
You know, like, it's crazy. When I was 6, I wanted to be a dinosaur. Okay, do you think my dad wanted to go take me to the doctor and change me into a freaking dinosaur? No. Kids are young, impressionable people.
I was gonna ask you
we
what that
should
tail
not be
was.
indoctrinating them with. Yeah, it wags a lot. But like, these kids are just young, impressionable people that are just being indoctrinated and over radicalized with sex. It's pretty disturbing.
Yeah.
And then 23% of children with lesbian parents have been sexually, just lots of sexual abuse. It's just, we can't normalize sexuality. It's a very preserved and respected thing between a man and a woman, and like, people just get so overconsumed by it, and it's like their mission. Like, maybe, you know who Sigmund Freud was?
Yeah.
So like, he's the whole psychologist saying that humans are motivated by sex.
Yeah. You love your mother.
Love your mother. I remember we were taught about him in school, and it's like, I think that's why a lot of people have just been like subconsciously subdued to some sort of propaganda that we're supposed to be creatures motivated by sex.
Yeah.
I mean,
when there's no higher aspiration in a person's life than sexuality, then there is nothing more than your sexuality. So, do as thou wilt. It's a whole Satanist like saying is, if there is nothing else besides that, then just go for that. But if there's something higher, there's something greater above us, then you have to honor and serve that.
absolutely.
Here's another one for you. On average, a gay man has up to 80 sexual partners per year, and that is over 1,000 in a lifetime. That's a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, we have a very respected friend that we work with. He's, yeah. I mean, no names, but lots of partners in and out. And it's like, man, a lot of people that I know that are homosexual are great people, but they're in and out with people and partners. And I mean, there's straight people that are like that too. So I guess I'm not just going after gay people, but like, just in general, we need to bring back the strong household and the nuclear family. And this is not going to move us forward in that direction at all.
Yeah.
Because then people just get sad and lonely, and then they turn to higher institutions like the government and not the church, because the church doesn't agree with what they do unless you're United Fellowship.
Little shout out
Unless
to
you're one of those little progressive churches, but they can't turn to a church because the church doesn't spew rhetoric that is not, or they don't have rhetoric that is in line with what they believe. So they don't go to a church. They turn to the institutions and the corporations that sell them all kinds of crappy stuff, and it's just a lose-lose situation for them. So
yeah, there's a Bible verse that actually kind of goes along with that. Because right now, America is suffering in so many different ways. We have lost our morality. We've lost a lot of our what makes us special. America is great because America is good. And so right now, since we are under attack, they're going after our culture. The Marxists, whatever you want to call them, are trying to destroy us. But there's always a way to heal our land. And in 2 Chronicles 7:14, if my people who are called by my name humble themselves, pray and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, I will hear them from heaven, forgive their sins, and heal their land. There's an easy fix for America right there. All we gotta do is just turn to God, and boom, our land is healed.
how are we going to do that? How do we get the masses to turn to God?
Ooh, I think we just gotta we have to be the presence who's there. We always have to be there. We have
Win
to
the
show
culture
up.
war,
Yeah,
take
we
over
have
the
to win.
institutions, encourage people to go out to their local elections, run for city council, and take over the institutions. I mean, I'm opposed to most of the institutions that the Democrats and the left and these anti-human people run, but I think like they're there and they exist, so we have to take them over if we want to make any change about it.
Yeah, yeah. And so that's the thing is soon we're going to be having a guest on who's going to help us to understand how we can take over and how we can win the culture war, how we can take over the institution. So I'm looking forward to that. That's a little bit of a little sneak peek into what we're going to be doing soon here at Base Boys, is having some people on who will be able to share how we can take over some of the institutions.
Absolutely. I love it, man. And then every day of this month, it's Pride Month. We're going to share a Bible verse every day. Nice. And I'm going to start with Romans 1. Micah, I'll read paragraph by paragraph. If you want to read every other paragraph, I'll start with the first one here. So the wrath of God is being revealed from heaven against all the godliness and wickedness of people who suppress the truth by their wickedness, since what may be known about God is plain to them, because God has made it plain to them. For since the creation of the world, God, invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature have been clearly seen, being understood from what has been made, so that people are without excuse.
For although they knew God, they neither glorified him as God nor gave thanks to him, but their thinking became futile, and their foolish hearts were darkened. Although they claimed to be wise, they became fools, and exchanged the glory of the immortal God for images made to look like mortal human beings, and birds and animals and reptiles.
Therefore God gave them over their sinful desires of their hearts to sexual impurity for the degrading of their bodies with one another. They exchanged the truth about God for a lie, and worshipped and served created things rather than the Creator, who is forever praised. Amen.
Because of this, God gave them over to their shameful lusts. Even their women exchanged natural sexual relations for unnatural ones. In the same way, the men also abandoned natural relations with women and were inflamed with lust for one another. Men committed shameful acts with other men and received in themselves the due penalty for their error.
Furthermore, just as they did not think it worthwhile to retain the knowledge of God, so God gave them over to the depraved mind, so that they do what ought not to be done. They have become filled with every kind of wickedness, evil, greed, and depravity. They are full of envy, murder, strife, deceit, and malice. They are gossip, slanderers, God-haters, insolent, arrogant, and boastful. They invent ways of doing evil. They disobey their parents. They have no understanding, no fidelity, no love, no mercy. Although they know God's righteous decree that those who do such things deserve death. Ooh. They not only continue to do these very things, but also approve of those who practice them. Very powerful words from Romans 1, verse 18 through 32. Micah, what are your thoughts?
Ooh, when people... What's that one church you like to give shout-outs to every now and then?
United Fellowship.
When United Fellowship says that homosexuality is welcomed, and we don't really teach according to God's word, but instead we teach according to, whatever feels good. They are not in the Christian doctrine because they don't follow this. This sets forth exactly what God's views on shameful acts are. It shows exactly what God views of them. It shows exactly where the problems are, and any doctrine that goes against this is heresy. Like if you say like, no, dude, God is okay with it, you go like, no, it's clearly right here shows that God is not okay with it, and it is our responsibility, our duty, our job as Christians is to overcome this, to make sure that this doesn't happen by, as you mentioned earlier, taking over the institutions.
Mm-hmm, exactly. And if you're going to a church that is pushing homosexuality or is having any sort of BLM type stuff, you have false teachers. Disregard the BLM thing, but if you have a pastor, preacher, or whatever you want to call it in your religious institution that's pushing homosexuality and normalizing it, there are churches here, and it's actually a content idea of ours. We want to go to these churches. We want to ask them and truly understand what they believe and maybe expose them. The Bible says to expose false teachers, and that's exactly what we want to do. And it's not living by the Bible. I honestly don't think most of these people have even read the Bible or don't understand it. They think that there's many interpretations. There's only one interpretation of the Bible, in my opinion. What's the God is the same as forever? Same. What is that?
Yesterday, today, and forever.
Yeah. Like, so there's one interpretation of all this, and people are just misconstruing it to fulfill their passions of man because they think the Bible is just all about loving everybody. But there's much more to that. So with that, we hope you guys have a great Pride Month. And Micah, kick us off, man.
Well, we are thankful for you guys tuning in. We have been the Base Boys, and on Sunday, we will be streaming to you some Sunday service. So tune in on Sunday for a live stream so you can see what the true gospel looks like. So, Zane, it's been a pleasure. We have been the Base Boys.
And we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Go ahead, like, follow, subscribe for more, and look forward to our upcoming episodes and our new content ideas around creating culture around God and just sharing the truth and everything. We look forward to seeing you on the Sunday service and any future episode that we have. Till next time, I'm Zane.
And I'm Micah.
And we are
the Base Boys.
Very based. I love it.
Electric vehicles are powered by batteries that are charged by coal plants and diesel generators. This is the biggest scam since Barack Obama married his boyfriend Mike.